This is the April 13th meeting of the Berlin Zoning Board of Appeals. This meeting is being held via Zoom webinar. Principals and attendees may have their image or voice recorded. Let me introduce the members of the board. Members, please raise your hand and say present when I call your name. I'm Lynn Ryan. Jim Royer.
Present.
Danny Bartlett.
Present.
Ginny Zakatinsky.
Present.
Keith Susie.
Present.
And Susanna Roberts.
Present.
We have a busy schedule this evening. We have the continuation of a hearing for a site plan appeal at 275 Central Street, a hearing for a side yard variance at 272 West Street, and a hearing for a contractor's yard at 601 Donald Lynch Boulevard, AKA the Salmon Pond Mall. I'll begin by opening the hearing continuation for a site plan at 275 Central Street.
Okay, I'm moving the petitioner up to panelist along
Please
with his
do.
attorney.
Yes, his Attorney Haggerty and the petitioner, please.
Okay,
Does the petitioner or his counsel have an update for us?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. For the record, Paul Haverty, Blattman, Bobrowski, Haverty, and Silverstein representing the petitioner. At the last meeting, we were in front of you. We had asked for additional time so that my client and his civil engineer and traffic engineer could work up some additional plans and complete a traffic report that would address the concerns that the board had expressed at its earlier meeting. However, after that meeting occurred, my client was presented an opportunity to potentially purchase some additional frontage that would actually allow the entrance to be moved further back onto Taylor Street. It's going to take a little bit of time to determine whether or not that this potential transaction can be completed. And rather than keep this pending in front of the board and waste everybody's time asking for continuance after continuance, what we'd like to do is simply withdraw the petition without prejudice, which would allow us to bring it back as soon as we are prepared and have completed this transaction. And then we would come before you with a plan, I think, that would be more beneficial to everybody.
Do you have any idea how long this might be?
So it's probably another couple of months in order to finish a transaction, and then we would have to actually do the
Plans.
work, yeah, and do the plans, because it's going to be a completely different entrance than what was previously presumed to be the case. So I think we're probably looking at maybe 4 to 5 months.
Okay. I thank you and Mr. Uradi for your addressing the issues, and I hope things work out the way you're planning them to. If no one has any questions, if not, I'd entertain a motion to allow the petitioner to withdraw his petition without prejudice.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we allow the petitioner for 275 Central Street to withdraw their petition without prejudice. Second.
Okay, Denny, second that. Is there any further discussion?
One
Hearing-
little picky thing.
Okay.
I believe it was stated as Taylor Street. It is Taylor Road.
I'm sorry, my mistake. I apologize.
Okay.
It was written right in front of me as Taylor Road too, and I just chose to go my own way.
Okay. All righty.
Lynn,
Yes,
do we need something in writing from the petitioner to be filed with the clerk, or is just this motion and a vote and
okay, I'll make a friendly amendment to the motion if no one objects. Amendment to the motion if no one objects, provided that the petitioner signs a document stating that
Okay.
decision to withdraw. Mr. Uradi, you would have no problem with that, would you?
No, that's okay. Thank you.
April 13th. 13.
We can hear you, Jenny.
I just muted her.
Okay. All right, there's a motion and a second. I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Roya,
Aye.
Mr. Bartlett,
Yes.
Mr. Susie,
Yes.
Ms. Zakatinsky,
She's muted.
Susanna Roberts.
Yes. I'm an
Jenny?
aye.
Okay. All right, we have a unanimous vote.
What's the problem?
All right, Mr. Uradi and Mr. Harity, thank you so much for attending this evening. And if you'll come in next Monday or Wednesday, Mr. Uradi, we would appreciate it.
The office is closed on Monday
Oh,
for
the
Patriots Day,
Patriots
so
Day.
I will be in the office on Wednesday.
On Wednesday. You'll be there
Yes.
Wednesday then. Okay. Could you do that, Mr. Uradi?
Yes, I can do that. No problem.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Is there
Second.
a second? Jenny seconded. I'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Royer,
Aye.
Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mr. Susie,
Yes.
Ms. Zakatinsky,
He's muted.
Ms. Roberts,
Aye.
Ms. Zakatinsky.
Aye.
Okay. Are the principals for our next hearing?
I believe
they-
so, yes.
Okay, that would be Jason. I'm gonna,
Nope, the next one is 272 West Street, which is
Oh, is it?
Douglas Amarim. I have a Douglas in attendance, so I'm gonna assume that's him. Do you want me to promote him?
if you would, please.
Leanne, may I interrupt for a second?
Yes.
Pat could not find the link for tonight's meeting. Could you send her the link, Leanne?
Did she go-
I can do it. I
Yeah,
can do
that,
it.
or if she goes to my town government,
Dot
the link is
org
there. Yeah, if Sue, if you could do it.
and a-
I can. I think I have her email address. I don't know. Well, all right, hang on. Let me see if I can do it.
Or I can try to resend. Hang
Oh yeah,
on.
I have her email address. I got it. I got it. Don't worry about it.
we have to wait a couple of minutes anyway, because it's not 7:15 and the posted time is 7:15.
Mhm. Hmm.
All right, I sent the link to Pat.
Okay, it's 7:15 now, Lynn, so I don't know if you wanna wait for Pat or start the next hearing.
Oh, I think we can just ask. Now I'm gonna slaughter your name. Is it Amorim?
Yes, you're correct. I'm Maureen.
Okay. The folks that you see on the screen, with the exception of Mr. Uradi, are members of the board.
Hi, all of you guys.
We have one more member that may be joining us.
Okay.
You're asking for a variance on a side lot at 272 West Street.
Yes.
What we usually do, after I declare the hearing open, is to allow the petitioner a chance to explain what they're planning to do.
Okay. So it's my turn now.
Well, all right. I'll declare the hearing for 272 West Street open. And if you would like, you can go ahead and explain to us what you're doing.
Yeah. So basically, I'm planning to build an addition to my place. The place will still have same 4 bedrooms and all that, but we're gonna be able to have 2 car garages and more comfortable, like, you know, main room for the couple and all that. And the thing is, like, my engineer, he did like the drawings, but we do have like a sewage line and also a live well near to the existing building. So basically, we have to move a little bit more, which would be need for a variance. I think the setback, let me just open up the plan here. The setback is 30, and my one corner only of the foundation will be 25.4. So that's why I need the variance. So I'm kind of like a little short. And we try to get the new building, the new foundation close to the existing building. But the problem is, if in near future I need to work on the sewage line or anything going on with the well, then we're not gonna have like machinery access, or even by hand will be very difficult to work. So if I don't know if you're able to see the plans, maybe we're able to see like the plans of the house, if you can.
You can share your screen if you wish.
Yeah, I don't have it here, so. But basically, like, I thought like in many other positions in the lot, but kind of like when the house was built, which was like a while ago, they built in like in a very difficult position with the land. So I mean, that was like the only way my engineer found to be safe and then attending everything that we need to move forward. So that's the reason.
Let me just read to you what we need to find according to section 10 of chapter 48 to grant a variance. We need to find that owing to circumstances relating to the soil conditions, shape, or topography of such land or structures, and especially affecting such land or structures, but not affecting generally the zoning district in which it is located, a literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance or bylaw would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise.
Well, basically, like,
is there anywhere else on the lot that you could place this garage?
No, because that's like in the back I have like wetlands. On the other side I have a propane tank buried underground, and this would be like the only side that I might be able to build that addition. And I mean, I already heard from my neighbors as well. I do have like emails from the neighbors. One of them, which is Sarah, she contacted me and I sent her the plans and she saw everything. She said she will be okay, because if you're able to see it, or maybe if you're able to download on your computer like the plans, I mean, the foundation has about like 6 corners. It's only one of the corners of the foundation that is out of the, you know, because the house was built like in kind of like a little angle when they built the existing house. It's not all the foundation, it's just like one corner.
It
I have a
appears,
question if I may.
oh, go ahead, Jim.
That the drawing that we were provided shows this garage addition connected to the main house by a breezeway.
Yes.
What is behind? There's in a drawing that you submitted behind this garage proposed building, and there's a pool in the backyard.
Yes.
What is in the back between those?
In between the pool and the addition.
Yeah.
There is in between that there is like a driveway for one of the sheds that I have, one of the garage that I have, which was really old. That will be demolished, and there will be like lawn for the backyard. That's the future plan.
Okay, so is there a reason the garage couldn't be pushed back into that area, and that would bring that other corner within the 30 feet?
Yeah, the problem that I have, you're probably not gonna see, maybe you're able to see on the plans that I still have cesspool. So this cesspool will be like a demolish, and we're gonna build in the front yard, we're gonna build like a new septic system. So, and in that space that you're talking about it's like, it's too close off to the wetlands for me to build the septic system over there. So because of that, we have to build in the front. And then there is a distance that you need to have from the live well to the foundation. And I mean, and also this space on the picture you have seems like to be a lot of space, but it's literally like, you know, 2-car space. And the other thing is the reason we're planning to build at this location, because that's the best location to build the breezeway and have access into the house. Because if you build little to the back, probably like the whole foundation would be like in the inside of the setbacks, but the problem would be like really close to the pool.
I can't imagine it would need to go that far to
Right,
to get
can
within
you see
the corner.
breezeway? Can
Yeah.
you see in the picture the breezeway, where the breezeway is?
Yeah, it looked like the breezeway probably be about 10 feet from the front of the garage
Yeah,
down the
so
sidewalk.
yeah, so if I move the breezeway, like let's say that I move the breezeway back another 10 feet, that will be like right on the middle where is my kitchen right now.
Well, you don't have to move the breezeway on the house side. You can move the breezeway just on the garage side.
Well, the breezeway will give access to the garage, but also will give access to the living room behind of the garage, and also will give access to the upper room that we're building on top of the garage. So it's not going to be just access just for the garage, if you understand what I'm saying.
Well, you understand that what I just read you in chapter 48, section 10, we have to find that those stipulations exist, that basically there's no other way for you to be able to do what you want to do. So I think that's what's raising the questions.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, when you look at the plan, you will see like, you know, I do have like in-ground pool. And if you look at the land, because of course, when you look at the paper here, you're gonna see just like a flat drawing. But when you look at the land, that space that I have over there, it's like, you know, the in-ground pool has like, you know, kind of mounds of dirt to secure the pool, you know, because of the amount of water. So that's why my engineer mentioned to me that I do not want to disturb any of that dirt around it. So, and I basically, like, you can check on the drawings. It does have his signature for the applications and all that, you know. And I mean, I did like the survey as well. And I actually did kind of like, you know, as much as I could. And that's the results that I have. I mean, if I didn't have the pool, and to be honest with you, I already thought about it, but I mean, if I demo the pool, I'm gonna get divorced. So I don't want that. So I just kind of like, I want to keep the pool and build the foundation and still have like a little backyard, which is gonna be hilled up, you know, between the new foundation and the pool area. Because also on the drawings you see over here, you see the size of the pool. but also there is a fence, there is a pool patio around the pool with the fence. So, I mean, of course, when you come here, we'll see like the distance is not as much for me to push the foundation all the way to the back, you know.
I have a couple of questions, if I may.
Sure.
Susanna, go ahead.
Okay, I'm surprised that the engineer did not provide a site section showing the change in grade from the pool to the proposed garage in order to convey how difficult it is to push the garage addition further back towards the pool. Also, it's not shown on any of the plans why you need to have the width of the breezeway, what it is. It's not showing the location of your well. And you said there's a sewage line, but you're relocating the cesspool to the front of the house, which actually makes it seem like it's
Okay.
helping your situation with the garage. So those are things that I think I would need to see in order to be able to understand why this is located where it is.
Okay, so I don't know if, let me go one by one. So the first question was about the well. So,
No, this first question was about the site section.
Okay.
There's no
So-
drawing for that.
the land survey, he did like all the dimensions, and the structure engineer did that plan, but the topography will be done out with the engineer who's gonna be planning the septic system. So he will supposedly is the person who does the topography. So the sewage line is in between, like, you know, it's going under the breezeway, so you can understand. And
Yes, it's not shown is what I'm saying. You need to.
yeah, but yeah, I can get a, you know, something to show that, but I think and the town does have in file. So at the Board of Health, I think they do have, like, you know. So the thing is, the sewage line is gonna stay where it is, because even with the new septic, we're still gonna use the same sewage line. Everything's gonna be connected to that. And behind of that, I mean, and I can also point in the map for you, find a way to describe in the map. There is a live well, you know,
Yes,
and we use that well for the house. So
yes, I
let's say
understand.
that I'm gonna, like, you know, kill that well and drill another one. So I'm gonna spend at least 15K to drill another well and do the whole system in another place. So what we're trying to do basically is like be able to build the addition without changing much everything that you have, so we can, you know, be able to just do what we want to do, but not, like, you know, spend as much as, I mean, because we thought about like changing where the well is, but then I have to do all the process to change where the well is and drill another well and get approved to drill another well. I mean, that's basically what I have, like, you know, to say about it, because I've been just like trying to check everything, all the possibilities, but it just get hard, like when you start changing a lot of stuff on the property.
No, I understand that, but you're not showing the current location of the well on your plan, and you're not showing the line that connects the cesspool to the house on your plan, and you're not
Yes.
showing the changing grade from the pool to the garage.
So the reason it's not showing the plans, as I said to you, because if I pass through you guys, then I'm gonna present to the Board of Health the new plans for the septic system. So on the septic system plan, that will show all those details, you know. But I mean,
But you have to get through this one first.
yeah, but a septic system plan cost me about like $7,500.
We're not
So-
asking for that.
Hmm?
Nobody's asking you for a septic system plan. We're
That's
asking
what I'm
you,
saying. Okay, on this plan, I can ask my engineer to add to that, but he said that that was not his scope of work. So
well,
that's why.
it probably isn't, but we just need to see where the well is and where the pipe is for the cess.
Yeah, I mean, I can, do you think if I print this out and make like a drawing here? Because I mean, I'm sure it is. So, but you need like something certified, right?
I think having those items on the plan, it would be very helpful to us.
Mhm.
Does anyone of the members disagree?
I don't know how helpful that'd be.
Well,
I'm
one of
sorry?
the other things that I'm saying is you're saying there's wetlands involved. I
No,
think
I'm far away from wetlands. So I'm like more than enough far away from the buffer zone. So that's one of the reasons too that we're trying to do at this place.
you said you had emails or letters or notes or whatever from your neighbors.
Mhm.
Could you share them with us by sending an email to the ZBA?
Sure, I can.
Now, is it the neighbor on your right-hand side that you have?
That's the neighbor where on the side where the new addition will be.
Isn't that a commercial building?
No, it's a house and also another house in the back. I think it's a rental properties.
As you look at your property on the right-hand side there, you have a neighbor, correct?
Yes,
And is that from whom you've received the letter?
yes.
Okay,
And I
And
mean, she
as you
actually mentioned over here that I can use the letter. You know, I mean, feel free to use this letter to note our agreement with your plans.
that's very helpful
Yeah,
to have a copy of that, so you could send it to the ZBA
for sure.
at thetownofberlin.com.
Mhm.
Again, you're at least 200 feet from any wetland, correct?
Yes, I'm like far away from wetlands. I'm
Okay.
like, that's one of the reasons, because I mean, we also think that excavating near to the pool could find some wetlands and, you know, and all that. So we just like thinking that would be the best, but I'm far away, so I don't have any issues with
I'm not
wetlands.
sure what that means.
It's like when you're building a foundation, you just gotta excavate to a certain
Right.
deepness, and we want to make sure that we're not gonna find water at this place where I have the plans, the proposed foundation. I'm sure that we can dig because we already test, and we're not gonna find water because I don't want to build a foundation sit on the water. And by near to the pool, I already had done like a digging over there, and we can find water easier because in the back I have a little pond. So my goal would be like building a structure that would be like, you know, sit on just like, you know, dry dirt. So instead of water.
You have a little pond, but it's not wetlands. Is that what you're saying?
The pond is wetland. I'm far away from that. I'm just saying that the closer
How
you
many
get to the
feet-
pool, the closer
How
you
many-
get to the. Go
How
ahead.
many feet would you say the pool is from what would be wetlands?
The pool, it's about like 100 feet from the buffer zone. I mean, the pool is about 50 feet from the buffering zone. The most, or maybe less, because this pool was built like back in the day. So I think when they built the pool, they could do. If I was gonna build this pool today, they're not gonna be letting me do it. So because the regulations change it. So that
So
pool
do
is
we-
actually like pretty close to the wetlands.
Do we know what the 200 and actually that would go in your favor, sir, if there was a delineation of the wetlands, because that means that you can't use that to build the garage.
So are you guys able to see the picture with the survey?
We've seen the plans that were submitted with the petition, yes.
Okay, so the back side of the pool, if you walk like 15 steps, you're already hitting the buffer zone.
And how big a buffer zone is there? 50 feet? Is that what you're
I
saying?
think it has to be 150 feet from the wetlands. if
Or
I'm not wrong.
200? Yeah.
150, I guess, or 200, something like that.
But what I'm saying to you, you're talking about what's not on the plan is sort of a driveway that goes in back. And it would be reasonable to suggest that you utilize that, or it would be something we would have to exclude. And the easiest way to exclude it, for me, I'm not speaking for my colleagues, would be if it's wetland.
I'm like, I already checked all the wetland procedures, and so we are safe to build the foundation where we're proposing. We
Oh,
find out.
you've been to conservation, have you?
Yes, I already checked everything on the we're not gonna touch any wetlands. That's one of the reasons, because if you think like I forgot like his name, who Jim, right? Jim. If you look at the closer I get to the pool, the closer I get to the little pond and the wetlands. So basically, like, we want to be out of that. And I even them like the old shed that we had on the property. So Leanne probably can tell you like that, because I mean she saw the plans when I did the remodeling, because it was basically like into the wetland. So I mean,
Do you
I
show
thought-
the shed and the fact that you're gonna demolish it on the plan?
no, I already
I
did
did-
on the previous remodelings that I did.
Okay.
Because
But
this
it
property
really,
had like a shed into the wetlands.
right, but you really should show the shed on the plan and the fact that it's gonna be demolished. Does
No,
anyone else have any questions of the petitioner?
just to make it clear, we do not have that shed anymore. When I bought the house, we did the remodeling, and I did remove the shed like in 2019. I'm just mentioning that this property used to have a shed into the wetlands, and there was a shed, there was tires, there was like motors, there was like engine oil, there was transmissions, car transmissions into the wetlands, and I did clean everything. I took everything out of there, I cleaned it up just to make sure that we conserve everything. So what the proposal addition is, it's all safe. The only issue that I do have, guys, and I just been 100% honest with you guys, I did all the research that I could possibly do. As you guys can see, I still learning English, so it's quite a bit like hard sometimes to understand all the laws and stuff. But I'm trying to do everything right. So the only issue that I have is that one corner of my foundation, it is off from the setback. So, and the setback is supposed to be 30 feet, and it is now, the proposed plan is 25 feet, 0.4. So I don't know if you guys do know about this, but before the legislation change, so the setback was 20 feet. So then there was changed to 30 feet. So I would be perfect fine with the old legislation, but with the new legislation, I just cannot do it. So I mean, and I really want to ask for your help with this, because I've been working on this for 6 months.
Could I
Well,
just ask you, I see from your email that you're a landscaper. What is
Yes.
the business address of your landscaping business?
The business address is 245 Boston Post Road East, Unit 1 in Marlborough, Massachusetts. And I'm not planning bringing any landscape equipment to this property, just so you guys know.
Where do you store your equipment?
I store my equipment at the 800 Bolton Street in Marlborough, Mass. The place called Smart Cube Storage and Garage. And I've been there for 7 years.
I have a question. There appears to be another garage between the pool and the house. Or
Yeah.
some structure.
Yes, there is. That's old, that's a grandfathered structure over there.
All right, are you taking that down too, or?
No, I'm not touching on that. So that we're gonna just, my plan for the future would be having proper maybe like a jacuzzi inside or something like that. So as you can see on my plans, the garage that I'm trying to build is just for two regular cars, or maybe like a pickup truck. That's not a plan to develop any business or any kind of that stuff. So, you know.
So where is the well on this property right now?
The well on this property right now, it's in between the two foundations where the breezeway is. Can you see like the number 10 in between the two foundations?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's about where the zero, the last zero is. That's exactly where the well is.
so it's in between the two structures.
Yes, I mean, the one structure that I have and the one that I'm planning to build.
Is it an artesian well? Or a dug well?
No, this is like a bedrock well. I guess it's bedrock because it's deep down. So, you know, I'm just saying bedrock.
Has it got a pipe sticking out of the ground?
No, this one is all on the ground. The pipe is about like the pipe is about 4 feet on the ground and goes to the basement. And in the basement of the existing foundation, I have a jet pump.
Okay, so it's a shallow well pump.
The well cap on this well is 3 feet below grade. When I need to do maintenance, I have to dig 3 feet so I can have access to the little box that they built it. So to open up, and one of the plans is like after the approval, and if you're really gonna build, we're planning to just raise the well cap because it's gonna be way easier for maintenance.
So the well cap's gonna be in the middle of the breezeway?
That's the plan.
In the area between the two buildings.
Yes.
Right.
And in the same area, there is the surge line that I know Mrs. Roberts requests. I will make sure that I can get like, you know, a drawing with all the septic stuff that will show in like, you know, what the line is, the surge line.
Did I miss the wellhead is going to be in towards the front of the house or towards the back of the house?
The back of the breezeway.
Okay. So my other.
It is there right now. It's just underground, 3 feet. So we're just gonna rise that.
So my question to you is it possible to have the garage parallel with the street instead of parallel with the house?
Parallel with the street instead of parallel with the house.
Turn it on an angle.
I mean, so the street, I already have a driveway on your left, about like 20 feet on the left of the cesspool. There is a piston driveway. So basically, I'm planning to use the same driveway to give access to the garage.
Yes, but I guess what my question is, right now your proposed addition lines is at the same angle as your house, correct?
Yes, because we gotta get both of them together. So you're saying like kind of curve the addition a little bit?
Yes, if you could rotate it so that the garage faced the street head on instead of at an angle, that would reduce how much you're intruding into the side yard setback.
Yeah, if the reason I cannot like move the foundation, it's because in this area, that's where the sewage line is. So the sewage line starts, can you see the number 10 behind the breezeway?
Yes.
So the sewage line comes out of the existing structure and curves where the number 1 is, right? And comes down all the way to the cesspool. In this area where the breezeway is, that's where the line is. And they will be using the same line to the new septic system.
So you're saying the line is parallel with the house?
Yes, if I flip if I flip the new structure, I will be hitting the sewage line.
Okay, I personally, I think Jim is fine not seeing it, but I would like to see that line before I could make a decision.
All right.
How does the rest of the board feel? Do
I
they
would
think,
like to see it also.
Yes, the
So-
well and where the line comes out of the house to the cesspool.
Yes,
Sorry.
they're looking to have the septic and well put on the plan?
Okay, I can do that. So it could be this plan. I can just, I mean,
I don't think we're gonna be fussy about, we want you to be as accurate as you can, but it doesn't have to be an engineer's plan.
yeah, but okay, so I'll try to get something, but just so I can explain to you guys. So between one foundation, the existing foundation, to the proposal one, there is 10 feet, right? So the line is exactly what meets the 5 feet. So it's right in the middle, you know. Of course, I understand that you want to see on the paper and I can get you guys there, so it's all right. But I'm just like, so, and the line comes straight in the middle, all the way, you know, into the corner of the porch. And at the corner of the porch, it curves in 45 degrees and then drops where the cesspool is. And I can have someone, I was just trying to avoid to spend more money with the plans without having anything because, but
I don't think you need to have an engineer unless I'm overridden by my peers here.
mhm,
I don't think you need to have an engineer draw a plan, but I do think that some of this information needs to be on the plan in order for us to be able to say, we basically need to say, this is the only place on your lot you can put the garage. And
Yeah.
that's why we're allowing a
No,
variance from the side lot.
I understand that, and I can provide that as well. But just to clarify to you guys, all of this would be showing on the septic system plan. So, and I guess the only mistake I did was like just trying to get approval with you guys first, then because I just didn't want to like spend huge amount of money drawing the septic system plan and without having that approval from you guys first, you know.
We just have certain criteria that we are required to find. And in order to find it, we need to be able to say that, due to the location, the wetlands, the septic, the water pipe, whatever it happens to be, that this is why we're allowing it, because we are going against zoning. Does anyone else have any other question or any other thought? How do the rest of the folks feel about asking for an updated plan?
Well, I think we also need to add any wetlands and wetlands buffers on that drawing. Just from my perspective, like I said, I don't see anything at this point that actually shows that he can't push that garage back and make it fit into the lot the way it is.
Okay.
And you're saying that you also you're gonna put in a new septic system?
Yes, that's what the Board of Health requires me in order to, because the cesspool is just like, you cannot like, you do not know exactly how much gallons they hold. So the new concrete tanks, they do tell you like how much gallons they hold, and and so we're gonna be doing that. So one of the reasons I cannot do like sit behind that area between the pool, I actually thought to put like the septic system over there because would be much easier for us, but we can't because it's too close to the wetlands. So that's why we're planning to do in the front. So, and that's why we're gonna keep the sewage line where it is.
Given that there are several members of the board that would like additional information, would you be willing to ask us for a continuance of your hearing till next month.
Sure.
Okay, does anyone disagree with that idea? But let's be clear as to what we're asking the petitioner so that he doesn't come back to us and not have something that is
Okay.
needed. You need,
Update plans.
you needed update plans showing
the well.
the current septic system, the current well, your proposed septic system. And again, this does not have to be, you know, the type of plan you're gonna need to give to the Board of Health. We need the location, and we need a delineation of where the wetlands is and how far you are from there and what the bylaw is
So
as far as wetlands.
quick question. On the wetlands, I already have a clearance from the what I forgot the department. What's the name of?
Conservation Commission.
Yes, I already have a clearance on the permits from them. So
Okay, can
Leanne
you
can
share
confirm
that
that.
with us?
I can share that with you. So I mean, I can't right now, but I can provide that.
You have it in writing, do you?
I think Leanne has access to that, right, Leanne? If I'm not wrong.
I do not have, no, I don't have anything from conservation.
Okay. All right. So I will provide that as well.
In addition to that, if they may not have an objection from a wetland standpoint for you to build that garage and or breezeway, we need to know what these, in our decision, we will need to state that there is no place else on this property that you could build this garage. And one of the big reasons for not putting it out back is that you have wetland out back.
No, that's all right. So that I can
So
prove very easy.
Yeah, so if you could have the conservation delineate where the wetland is and where the buffer zone is, it would strongly
Help the
make your
case.
case.
Okay.
I have a new question.
Sure.
You said you thought about putting the leach field behind the house?
That would be between the new addition and the pool where Mr. Royer just asked what was over there. But
So-
go ahead.
Well, my question, you were saying that you couldn't push the garage back because you didn't want to dig into where the slope is for the in-ground pool. So I guess I need to know why it's okay for you to dig into it for a septic system, but not a garage.
I'm saying like that I was planning to build the septic system in between the pool and where the house is, right? In that space, that's where I was planning. But we can't because I forgot how to pronounce that. I think it's water bed. The water.
Water table.
Water table, that's what it is. Thank you very much. So the water table over there is too close. So, and the closer you get to the pool, because this area is the driest area in my land. So the closer you get to the pool, you get closer to the wetlands. And let's say like where I'm planning to dig the foundation, I can dig 5 feet down. So near to the pool, if I dig about like 3 feet, you're already hitting water.
So you're planning to have, well, you say foundation, is there any kind of a basement under this?
Yeah, on the existing house, there is a basement.
What
So
about,
that's why I know where the water table is. Because I have like a sump pump and you can just see where the water is. So this new foundation won't be a basement. That's one of the reasons that we're not doing basement. It's just gonna be just a crawl space.
just a slab?
Yeah, we cannot dig like too down. Yeah, it will be like a foundation, but also a slab for the garage and everything.
Okay,
So
folks, do you
did I
think,
answer your question, Mrs. Roberts?
yes, there's no basement in the addition?
I'm probably gonna ask it again at our next hearing.
Okay, so, and the question is why I cannot move over there, right?
Why it's okay, why you felt that it was okay to be back there for your septic system, but not for your garage?
No, because let's say that I could have the septic system over there and the water table was low enough for the septic system.
Yeah, no,
Then,
I understand that, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
then I could just like turn the pipe to another direction and get like my breezeway close to the house and be inside of everything, and without need the meeting or anything. But when you guys know more than I, so when you do like a septic system, you gotta excavate and see where the water table is, and out there, and the water table here, it's really high on that area. So I cannot do, as I was mentioning to you guys, if I was gonna build this pool today, I would not be able to do it because of the new regulations. I'm just gonna be allowed to keep that pool in place because it was grandfathered.
Have you dug any pits or test pits in the front of the house for your sewage system?
In the front of the house, we did dig about like 8 feet down, because we did install like a dry well for the gutters, so we could remove like superficial water from the gutters to the dry well. And when we did the dry well, we figured out that there was a great soil for the septic system, because it's all sand and the percolation is good. So that's one of the reasons we are trying to build the septic system in the front, because we're gonna have like a very nice percolation, and it's gonna work properly. So, and over there, you could also, let's say potentially that they allow me to build like the septic system like near to the, the conservation would not allow that, by the way. So if anything goes wrong, the sewage will just leak into the wetlands. So we don't want that to happen. So.
Mr. Moran,
Okay.
you did a good job of presenting this. What you're describing makes great sense. There's just numbers missing here.
Okay.
It looks like from our perspective that you could just sort of turn it sideways and move it back a little bit. And I understand that that's not true, but we don't have the numbers to back that up. I know you know it, and it's clear in your head. So just help us help you.
Oh,
So when you draw that line, when you draw, on the map, you don't need to go and spend tons of money on this. Just make sure there's measurements there, so we know exactly where it is. And then it will help to have the conservation information, as well as the letter from your neighbor. And all of these things are going to help us help you. So you did a wonderful job, and what you're saying makes sense. We just need those numbers so we can be formal.
No, I totally get it, and I understand that. So, because when I speak, it's just because I already dig there and I already clean all those things. But I will be happy to provide everything to you guys. So I just want to confirm.
Let's just reiterate what we're asking you for. We're asking you for another plan.
Update plan showing well and sewage line.
Exactly.
Clearance, and also the wetlands.
Shows the delineation of the wetland and the buffer zone.
Delineation. Okay.
And that would come from conservation.
Mm-hmm.
I know they have no difficulty with what you've presented, but we need to be able to say that you can't put it in back.
Okay, it's all good.
At the request, anybody have anything else they want to make sure is added to the plan? So that we don't.
I would like to see something about the sewage system. If looking at the house, if he can't put it to the right side of the existing house, and it has to go to the left side, he may not be able to drive into the garage.
I'm sorry, can you rephrase the question again?
Okay, if you're standing at the street,
Okay.
looking at your house as it is now,
Mm-hmm.
and you're saying you think you're gonna have to put the sewage system near the cesspool.
Okay.
And if they can't, and you have to put it towards the left, towards the new addition, I wonder if you will be able to drive over it to get to the new garage.
Yeah, so the new septic system, you can see on the photo that you have over there on the survey, the cesspool, you will be demolished. So they're gonna just demolish and take it away. So the new tank will be installed exactly where the cesspool is right now. And then we're gonna have a pump, because I think if you had like how do I call that? The topography of the land would help you guys a lot to just understand, because that from the cesspool to the right, it's uphill. So the pump will just pump it up, the sewage uphill, and they will be coming down the hill, draining to the ground. So even if you need to, let's say worst case scenario, and then we need to put like a septic system, like, you know, where the driveway is, we're still able to drive on top of it, because those are made of thick concrete with mesh and iron and all that.
More likely you'll fill the cesspool rather than remove it.
Because I thought about keeping that, but the Board of Health didn't allow me to.
They won't let you just fill it?
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna just like clean them up and demolish, because I need that, you know. I actually thought about like keeping the cesspool, and they say no. If you're gonna do the addition, you gotta have a new septic system, and I agree with that. So it's okay. I mean, I think it's a better system anyways. So
Okay, is there any question in your mind, Mr. Amorum, as to what we're asking you to do?
no, I mean, I can just like repeat everything that I have here, which is update plan, showing the well, storage line, clearance delineation of the wetlands and buffer zone, and what else? I guess that's all right.
And the wellhead,
And the wellhead. Okay.
does anyone have anything else to add to his list? Does the board feel that we should act on what is before us, or do we feel we would benefit and the petitioner would benefit from a revised plan?
Lynn, Louise Janda is raising her hand in the audience, and as you know, she's part of the Conservation Committee.
Okay. Could you promote her, Leanne?
Yep.
Hi, Louise, you're muted, but you're welcome to speak.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering if you remember when you came before the Conservation Commission, because I don't recall.
Okay, I did not came to the Conservation Commission. I did apply the permits with the building department.
Right.
And the Conservation Commission wrote me a message on the permits application, saying that if the garage and the proposed building stay where it is, I'm okay to move forward. And if it changes, I need to report to the conservation land.
Okay, so you did get notification from the
Yes,
Conservation?
I did not came. Yeah, I just had notification saying that that place would not interfere with the wetlands.
Louise, I think it would be beneficial if you let him know when your next meeting is and put him on the agenda and just have him have the wetlands delineated, not so much for the fact that he wants to move what he has, but that we need to know that there isn't another spot where he can put it. Does that
Okay.
make sense? In order to meet the criteria to give a variance.
Okay, our next meeting is a week from today, which is April 20th, and we have been meeting in person at the town offices of 23 Linden Street,
Okay, so that's April 20.
April 20th, right?
What time?
I can't tell you that because the chair sets the agenda. The best thing to do would be to email conservation@townofberlin.com and ask to be put on the agenda. I can also mention it to them.
Okay.
Okay, and
If you,
You know,
if
to-
you want to, Louise, share your email as our liaison with him.
yes, okay. You want me to give it to you now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, it's L R as in Robert,
Okay.
J as in John,
Okay.
A N as in Nancy, D as in David, A at AOL.com. Okay, and I think this will give you, to get an actual decision from the Conservation Commission on the wetland situation would be good for you, if
Okay.
indeed you
Mhm.
are enough far away from the wetlands.
Thank you, Louise.
Thank you very much.
So what you need to do is write a note to the Conservation Commission requesting to be on their agenda for the meeting on, what did you say it was, the 23rd?
No, the 20th, a
The
week from
20th.
today.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
we're always
then
the first and third Wednesdays,
first and third, okay.
right?
And then you can have them delineate where the wetlands are and where the buffer zone is. And that will help make your case that you can't put it in certain areas of your property.
Mhm. Is there any way that you could submit a plan of what you were trying to do?
Yes, I actually already submit everything to the building department, so it's public over there, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Leanne, the Conservation Commission was given a copy of the petition, were they not?
Yes, as far as I know,
And-
it would have come from the clerk, but I believe she gave one
Do
to
you-
conservation.
Do you have a copy, Louise?
I don't personally know.
I
Okay,
do have an extra copy in the office, Louise, if you're interested, and I'll be in on Wednesday morning.
You'll be there when?
Wednesday
Wednesday
morning.
Okay.
So, just a quick question for you. Do I have to go to this meeting or just the
Yes.
info that you guys have online? Because online there is a drawing on everything where the wetlands is and there is a delineation that you have access, that I
Well,
can
you
have
can-
access.
You
as
can
well.
bring a laptop and show it to them at the table.
Right, and explain,
Mhm.
the situation like you explained it to the zoning board.
Mhm.
It would be best if you did come, with a plan and,
No, I'll make sure that I'll come and they can just do the lines.
Okay.
and-
all right. So I will notify the chair that, I suggested that you come before us to,
Mhm.
and if you email it, Conservation of Town of Berlin requesting, you will get a response from the chair or from our agent. Okay,
Okay, Louis, thank you very much, and I
You're
appreciate your
welcome.
help today.
right.
Douglas, I'm happy to help you out too. I do have office hours tomorrow, but working from home, but if you email me, I can help connect you or print up anything from off the building permit.
Okay, thank you very much, Leanne, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else? What is the inclination of the board?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we continue this hearing to next month's meeting.
I will
Okay,
second
and
that.
that'll be at the request of the petitioner because he wants to be able to supply this information so that we would be able to approve his. To be honest with you, the board is not looking to deny you. We're looking for reasons to approve you. So, help us out.
No?
Okay,
I
so
am
the
here to help
motion is
it out.
Continue it until 7 o'clock at our next meeting.
Which is
And
May 11.
May 11th. Is there a second?
Ginny seconded.
Okay, I'll take a roll call vote. Jim,
Aye.
Denny,
Aye.
Keith,
Aye.
Ginny,
Aye.
Susanna,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. So we look forward to seeing you May 10th.
Thank you very
hopefully
much,
you will have-
all of you, and so I'll be providing everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing until 7 o'clock. Oh, did we do that? We did that.
Yeah,
It was-
it's been approved.
Is there a time in there?
It's 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, okay. And I expect if he's still here, is he still here?
No, he just
That'll be virtual, but he found his way here, so that'll work out
did,
well.
and
Okay.
I'm sure he's aware of that.
So do we want to do a roll call vote or did we already?
We did.
We did that.
Did.
Listen, I'm a little out there like Pluto today. Okay, let's see. It's 8:10 and we're overdue for a special permit and site plan for a contractor's yard. Do we have the principals available?
We do. Let me promote.
Be Jason and Shelley.
Promoting Jason, who is the applicant, and then Shelley Clark, who I believe represents Solomon Pond Mall.
Thank you. So I'll declare the hearing for the special permit open. Now, usually what we do is allow the petitioner, Jason, if I may call you Jason, to present what they want to do to the board. Are you there, Jason?
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
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 All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jason Languedoc. I'm the project manager for Bond Civil Utility. We're looking to get an approval for a contractor's yard in Solomon Pond Mall, 601 Donald Lynch Boulevard. So we have a project in the vicinity. It's not in Berlin, but it's in surrounding towns, of which would be about an 18 to 24-month project. We're looking to utilize roughly, I believe it's an acre, 1.75 acres within the parking lot of the mall. Utilization of the yard would be HDPE conduits ranging from 8 inches.
You're fading on us.
Can you hear me now? I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's an 18 to 24-month project is what's planned. Primary laydown material, it's primarily to be used for laydown of materials and staging of conduits and some soils, which would be organized within concrete bins on site. The perimeter of, there's two separate locations within the project site. Both would be fenced in, both would have erosion controls around the perimeter. We are looking to also have a few different pieces of contractors' equipment, front end loader, potentially a compressor or a rubber tire excavator that would be within the boundary. We have reached out to the building inspector with Berlin. Richard actually, I think, suggested this location to us a few months ago to pursue with the board. We've also reached out to the Board of Health. We've reached out to the town's Conservation Commission. I was in attendance at their meeting last week just to discuss the area and our intent for its usage. And we did reach out to the fire marshal, who I believe had sent an email to the ZBA just recently. It's my conversation with them. So that's our intent. We're hoping to seek the board's approval for for a special permit.
Okay, let me just explain to the board. I did send to the police chief, the fire chief, the fire marshal, and the highway superintendent, the proposal and asked for comments. And Captain Litchwell came back. He's not in the audience, is he, Leanne?
I don't believe so. No, the building inspector is, and JT from the planning board.
Okay. And I did reach out to them. No one's had concerns. The highway department, because the road isn't in Berlin. The police chief had no concerns. Captain Litchwell was most concerned about a list of the materials that would be stored there. I'm just asking you, we have a list, we can share it with the board members. If we've already shared it, haven't we, Leanne? The
Yes.
list of materials.
Yes.
And I asked you, when you say 3 pieces of heavy equipment, is that singular or is that plural?
It's plural. It'll most likely, it will certainly be at least one piece of equipment with the front end loader. And then potentially a compressor on site and potentially one each rubber tire excavator if needed. That's what I would believe would be the limited heavy construction equipment on site.
If I may, Shelley, Clark is with us. If I may ask you, Shelley, I reached out to you and I had 3 questions for you for information purposes. That was the total number of parking spaces that are going to be lost for this project, the total number of parking spaces that you anticipate or have in existence an agreement for others to use, and whether or not you are actively seeking to find a tenant for the former Sears and Associated Auto Shop. So perhaps with the board being here, you could give us the answers to those questions.
Of course, I'm going to start backwards. So the Sears building and Sears Auto are not owned by us. We have no regulation over them. That is why there are still Sears signs up on the building, which irritates us like crazy every day. JLL Capital Markets is the brokerage firm that was secured by Sears for the marketing and sales efforts of the big box and the auto center. The number of spaces that the contractor yard would take up is a total of 393. The number of spaces that we already have the agreement for with Vanpool, it was an existing agreement that Simon had that expires August 31st. I am not certain if it will be renewed on September 1st or not, but that agreement takes up 100 spaces. So the total, if Vanpool renews and we move forward with this project, there's 493 spaces that would be taking up for rental and not, that would eat into our parking ratio. However, based on Sears GLA and it being vacant and not even including the auto center, that allows us 815 spaces to utilize since it's vacant that we're not utilizing. So we're still to the positive, just a slightly less than half.
At Vanpool, you mentioned, is that the school buses?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And I don't know how often you drive through there, but they have been, since we came on board in September after Simon had abandoned everything kind of, it's like the Wild West. They kind of just are doing their own thing. So when we are done with winter cleanup and the sand cleanup for getting ready for spring, we're going to corral them again. So they'll be in the area they should be. The bond will be in the area that they're supposed to be. So everything will be looking nice and clean and tidy back there.
Could I just ask you, you mentioned that you don't have any knowledge as to whether or not Sears and the car care center or whatever it was that's associated with it is not under your jurisdiction?
It is not. Sears is, they own the building. So they are having it marketed by JLL. So it is on the market. If you look up parcels for sale in Marlboro, it will pop right up. So it could sell. We don't foresee it. And if it does, if it's sold tomorrow, it would still take 6 months probably for the sale to close and another 12 to 18 before anything would actually be open in it. So it certainly does not inhibit the parking ratio and that concern.
So the Sears and the auto care center are owned by JOL Capital Marketing?
No, they're owned by Sears.
Okay. And what property delineation? Is it like a condo down there? Because I was told it was like one big.
No, so that is, let's see, I can tell you. So Sears owns their building. We own the land. And then there are other, it depends on the
So is this a
specific-
ground lease that's in place?
Yes.
Is it a lease or an ownership?
The building is in ownership. The ground lease is a lease that whoever owns it would pay us rent. Whoever is in the space.
I don't know. Is anybody else confused or is it just me?
Seems pretty simple.
Well, explain it to me, Jim.
Well, you got a parking lot, you got the Solomon Pond Mall lot. The Mrs. Clark's company owns the land. Sears owns a building on top of that land, which they pay rent on to rent the land itself. But Sears owns the building.
Who is the actual lander? Who is the actual owner of the underlying ground?
The receivership currently.
Do they just have jurisdiction over them or do they actually own it?
The ground we actually own, the receivership does. So
And
technically,
you
you look at it as if you look at it as somebody who foreclosed on their home is maybe the best example of a receivership where Simon just walked away, handed the keys over to the bank and it's under a
Yeah.
receivership.
So literally, the receivership is to use a much simpler model. The receivership is a trailer park. Sears building itself is a trailer. The trailer is owned by Sears, but it's sitting on a spot in the lot owned by the receivership.
And to
Does
even more
Sears-
simplify, it's the bank. It's just I work for the management company who was hired by the bank to manage the property.
Okay.
May I ask a question? Do I
Sure.
understand that this building and land is actually in Marlboro?
There is a little portion, let me see. The building, which is not part of the discussion for what Bond is looking to rent, is completely in Marlboro.
So the Sears building is in Marlboro?
As far as I can see from this horrible, yeah. Yep.
And the parking lot is totally in Berlin?
the majority, the space, there is a split portion that Bond would like to utilize. 225 spaces are in Berlin. So closer to the back between Regal Cinema and the former Linens and Things. As you do that back cutoff road that goes through Berlin.
But the parking lot outside of the Sears building, that's partially in Berlin.
That is. Yep, a little portion.
So the
Because
space,
road, you know, when you come from Target and you go backwards, you go behind after Target, you're gonna hit a portion of it right there.
so are some of the parking spaces that are either leased to the van pool or going to be leased, I'm assuming, to the petitioner, are any of them in Marlboro?
The petitioner does not have any in Marlboro. Neither does van pool. It's all on the back in Berlin.
Lynn, I have a couple of questions.
Are you able to answer my question so we can
Okay.
move on to Pat, Shelley?
I think I just said all of them are in Berlin.
All of the parking spots. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pat.
I understand you're calling it a project site and there's people with conduit pipes or whatever, and are you rubber tires or something? Where is the actual project?
The project itself, it's in the municipalities of Sudbury, a small portion of Stowe and Hudson.
Okay, so what kind of traffic are you going to do on a daily basis to go to this project site? In other words, are you trucking things back and forth out of there every day?
We would be, yeah. We're using it as a staging area for conduits and soil stockpiling, like I had mentioned before. The conduit staging locations, besides like deliveries that we would have, we would look to utilize maybe a week or so out of the month to stage those along our actual project location. I wouldn't imagine there'd be a lot of traffic to move conduits. Soils would probably be maybe 3 to 4 triaxles a day.
Where's that going? What is your route going to be? If you're coming to Stowe and Sudbury,
Yep.
I'm assuming you're getting off 495 and taking the back roads through town. How are
It'll
you
be,
getting over to there?
Yeah, we're not planning to utilize 495 or any interstates. We'd be looking to eventually come down Donald Lynch Boulevard, from those towns to the Solomon Pond Mall.
What I want to know is exactly where you're going to go through town, because if you're coming from that area, you're going to be going down Sawyer Hill or other roads with trucks every day to get to the back. So how are you actually going through town? Do you have any traffic surveys about how many trucks, what the trucks are, where they're going?
It's a traffic surveyor, no, but we would be primarily coming, just quick, opening up the overhead now. They'd primarily be coming down Donald Lynch.
To where?
Yeah,
To
where?
Hudson?
Yep. It's
You'd be going-
we'd be utilizing Forest.
Can you speak up? Utilizing what?
Yep.
I
I'm
still
just-
didn't get any streets.
Yeah, I'm looking at a map currently. Sorry. Directions. So primarily, it looks like we'll be coming down roughly downtown Hudson, down Brigham Street, which turns into Donald Lynch Boulevard. That would be a.
Well, I would like to know all that information before we finalize any of this. Like to know the routes of the truck, and I'd also like to know how many trucks per day you're planning on bringing through.
Yeah.
And if it does intersect any of the town roads, I'd like to know that.
Okay, yeah, I can speak to that. So primarily, we'd be looking at probably 3 to 4 per day, rotating from the project site to the mall.
All right, so if you could get a route for me, that would be great.
Okay, it's primarily going to be coming down Brigham Street to Donald Lynch Boulevard within the limits of Berlin. I think.
So you're going through Marlboro?
Well, no.
He's coming out of Hudson Center.
Yeah.
Up Park Street.
Okay.
Park Street turns.
Park Street to
You're coming in the back door to.
He's going in the back.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, just if that's stipulated, and so that they also know the neighborhood, what's coming on down there. And have you talked to the Conservation Commission? The fact that
Yes.
you are right next to the Assabet River, that's okay?
Yes, I attended the meeting last Wednesday. I believe, Lynn, you might have been in attendance also, so.
I was in attendance also, and they, Conservation Commission promised to note that they had no problem with it.
Okay, and so there's
Given the-
also a
Given the
bond for
material-
cleanup and all that kind of stuff too?
Correct.
Pat, do you mean restoring the property after they're done?
Exactly.
So that would be in our lease with Shelley regardless.
How long a lease are you looking at?
Well, our time frame on the property, we're looking to have about an 18-month to 24-month time frame, just temporary use. Shelley and I were looking at a year lease, and then depending on how the project progresses, working from there.
I'll ask you, if it were the inclination of the board to approve this, would both of you be willing to sign that the site plan is unrecordable and it is date sensitive? In other words, it has a termination date. Would either of those cause you a problem?
It depends on his project.
Right. I'd say termination date, would that be something that Bond and Solomon Bond would set, or is that something?
We can talk about that, but
Okay.
would you be willing to agree to, normally a site plan is recordable.
Okay.
And we wouldn't want anyone to misunderstand at the Registry of Deeds if they went looking and saw that there was a site plan for a contractor's yard on that lot. I also don't think if, Solomon Pond wanted to sell the property, it would be helpful either. But we could give you a document that would be a signed site plan that would have a duration, i.e. an expiration date, and be unrecordable. Would that cause a problem to you?
My only hesitation would be just what the end date would be.
That would be something we could discuss.
Yeah, so that'd be the only thing, Lynn.
I'm talking about the concept that it would be unrecordable.
Yep.
And that it would have a termination date.
We'd be open to that. Yeah, again, just depending on
What
the
about
date that
you,
we
Ms.
discuss.
Clark?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I just think that the termination date has to be a bit fluid based on the project timeline. As what
The termination date would be finite.
Right.
And I would-
So
that's
if
not
I
up
may-
to me.
Well, if I may, what I would propose is if, for example, you're talking 18 to 24 months out, what I would propose is that we set the termination date at 30 or 36 months out.
yeah,
And that way you've got a little wiggle room there. You got 6 months to play, but it's still going to eventually expire.
Yeah, I
You're
don't
not
think-
going to be able to go forever.
Yeah, I don't think we would have, we wouldn't have an issue with that.
Yeah,
And it doesn't mean that you couldn't come back and ask again,
for an
okay?
extension.
It just means that this would be. I have a question about Sears. If these parking spaces are taken, how does it affect the next tenant at Sears?
Well, as I had said before, if Sears is sold tomorrow, it's probably going to take about 6 months for the due diligence to get the sale to go through at a minimum. Then it's probably going to take 12 to 18 months, if not almost 24, to get a tenant or whatever use is going in there next, to be open and ready for occupancy. So we're looking at almost 36 months, 24 to 36 months anyway. However, if some act of miracle of God that things move ahead quicker, there is, in our agreement with bond, there would be termination rights that if in the event that, or it could be the whole property, if the entire mall is sold, if Sears is sold, that we would have the right to terminate their agreement within 60, 90, 120 days, whatever we can agree upon.
When you say their agreement, who are you referring to?
I have to have an agreement between myself, between the property and bond to have them on the property.
Who's them? Who are you referring to with them?
The mall property and bond, the petitioner.
Okay, thank you. I was mistaking the word bond for the petition.
Oh, I'm sorry. No. So Bond Brothers, the company. Yes, I'm
We
sorry.
get that all the time, I understand.
Okay, I understand we have a member of the planning board in our audience. Does Jay wish to speak at all or have any questions?
Jay did raise his hand, and actually so did Louise, Janda, and Karen as well.
Okay, well, let's take Jay first. Because I know Louise is more patient.
Jay has been promoted. There he is.
Hi, Jay.
There
Hi,
he
can you
is.
hear me?
We
Yes.
can.
All right. We didn't have a whole lot of questions about this. We had a question about what you've already discussed, which is this going to interfere basically with finding a new owner or a new tenant for the Sears building, which I think has been addressed. And where is there one or more parking area which was discussed? And I think that was it. Our concern mainly was we'd love to see a new tenant in that building and wouldn't want to compromise that by
So would Shelley.
putting in parking spaces that were needed. But I agree with the timeframes that are on the table right now. They're pretty unlikely to conflict with one another.
Now, what we would be doing is we need a plan to sign, okay? And I don't think what was supplied with your petition is sufficient. We don't have a larger plan, do we,
No.
Leanne?
No.
What we do is we, make our mark. The members that vote aye or nay would put it on that plan and sign it.
Okay,
Again, it would be a temporary thing. We would say it's unrecordable and that it is time limited. A date that we could come up with. I think Jim has some good ideas that if I were you, maybe 30, 36 months. It's not that that isn't renewable. It's just that you have to go through this process all over again.
Okay.
I understand, Louise is out there also. And I was at their meeting, but maybe Louise would care to tell us what happened at conservation.
Okay, do you want me to promote her?
Would you please?
Okay. All right, well, somebody already did.
Hi, Louise.
Hi there. Okay, this is just very quick. In general, we are not opposed to the project, but we did request that when the final location for the storage of the soil is determined, that we would be notified. And that would give us an opportunity, if it was necessary, to add any conditions to the plan. But otherwise, we're fine with it. We did ask for permission to view the site, and we were told that we could visit at any time, so we're in agreement with the plan, with that provision.
Would you care to explain what the soil is that's going to be in buckets and how much it's going to be and so forth?
Yeah, so it's existing soil. We're working on a existing, I should say existing, it's in situ soil that we're looking to remove from the project within the limits of Hudson, Stowe, and Sudbury. This location in the mall, it's a staging area for us to organize it before it gets goes to its final destination. We would have concrete bins set up within the site limits. And that's really just to organize it again, just so it's not a big mound of soil on site. Louise is right. We did say that we would be available to tour the site with the Conservation Commission prior to the setup, and also after the perimeter and the bins have been put together. We are looking to set up the bins that would hold the soil in a location that's farthest away from the wetland, or not the wetlands, the river that goes to the back of the mall. I think that was it. I think that was it, Louise.
About how much soil at any one time would be the maximum amount that you would have on site?
We would probably have about 20 bins or so that would hold about 250 yards. So it might be about, at maximum would be 5,000 yards at maximum.
But this is all soil that's being removed from other municipalities and just stored there temporarily. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can I ask a follow-up on that?
Sure.
I understand that you're going back and forth to Stowe for the actual project, but then you're bringing soil and storing it here for another destination?
Yeah, so it's
where's that going?
It's a matter of logistics with the project, but it's either going to be reinstalled within the project site once certain installations of the project progresses, and the excess soil will be disposed of at a soil, an excess soil detention site. So
where's that?
There's multiple locations. We're working with our client. I don't believe anything is in Berlin. Oh, I know for a fact that none of the locations are in Berlin. They're either in North Shore, Massachusetts. There's some in Western Massachusetts.
Okay, again, I would just be interested. I don't know footage or cubic, whatever, but just again, what you're utilizing as truck routes in and out of the town. I don't know if that's a lot of.
Yeah, the only truck routes within Berlin would be coming down Donald Lynch Boulevard.
Okay.
That's it. Yep.
And you're just using the regular, like, national fencing? That's it?
That's our plan for the perimeter. That's our plan for the perimeter. Yep, we'd have a lockable gate. I know the fire marshal had requested that he put his own lock on the gate also. It's not something, that's not something that's foreign to us. We usually have a couple, 3 locks on perimeter sites like this.
This is just like a 9 to 5 or 7 to 5 running operation on a daily, Monday through Friday, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and do you even have a security trailer or anything there, or is it just the equipment and everything's locked up behind those fences?
Our plan is primarily just the materials and the
Just
equipment.
lock it up?
Yep.
Okay, just as
We-
for my own edification, what do you do with all the tires and the tire? Is that just to keep the ground back?
The tires? What do you mean?
We have a
I'm sorry.
tire mover or something, or
A
a
front
rubber
end
tire?
loader?
Oh, okay, the front end
Oh,
loader
rubber,
and rubber
yeah.
tire, yeah. So that's the
Um,
tires, just the big things, right?
Yeah, so an excavator, some people think of them as backhoes too, but an excavator
Okay.
can either be a tracked wheel.
Yeah, the trackers, okay, the
Yep,
track.
but these would be, anything we put on asphalt or pavement is all rubber top. what we call
Okay.
rubber tire. Not to damage the asphalt or the pavement.
So you would
doesn't
have
chew
no
it up.
problem with us stipulating that operation would be 7 AM to 7 PM Monday through Friday?
I don't think we'll have an issue with that. I'm trying to think if that would be, we may have some areas that we would have to perform at night. If we did that, those would be very minimal times. And we could certainly communicate that to the mall and Berlin if needed. But I'd say about 90% of the project would be performed from normal working hours, Monday through Friday.
And those that aren't normal working hours, what hours would they be?
I would imagine those would probably be from some 7 PM to 7 AM. And that's just a conservative thought. But again, those would be very limited. That'd be a very limited portion of our project.
Anyone else have any other questions?
I do. The first one is, do you anticipate any of these soils being contaminated soils?
We don't at this time. There have been some testing requirements performed by our client. At this time, there's nothing that I believe we've been shown or told that would consider these soils contaminated.
Okay, and if you did find some that were contaminated, do you have a plan for that?
We'd certainly have to have that discussion with our client to see how those would be handled. We don't anticipate utilizing the site for those scenarios
Okay,
at this time.
all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Second is more of a comment more than anything for Shelley, in that the letter sent out dated April 7, 2022, it says that the mall anticipates entering into a 12+ month agreement, but there's no end date on that. And then further down, it says June 1, 2002, which I know is a typo, but I think because we have a time sensitive project here, I think we should get an updated letter with the correct date and one that says 12 to 24 month instead of 12+ month.
I will do that in the morning.
Thank you. And then lastly, this question is for Jay. Is the planning board going to want to sign off on a temporary development plan, as this is an overlay district, to coincide with our temporary special permit site plan approval? Or is it just going to be a letter from the planning board saying they're aware of it?
I don't know the answer to that question right now. I need to bring back the information that I've gotten today so we can talk about it.
Okay.
I mean, it's not clear who's responsible for this, if it's the planning board or the ZBA, because we're responsible for overlay district site plans and you guys are responsible for industrial zone. So we may have to collaborate.
Yes, and I do know that Chapter 40A stipulates that there can be joint special permit approval authorities. So that may be something we have to discuss for the next meeting.
That makes sense, yeah.
Well, as I sent to Tim Wheeler and to the building inspector, the parking lot and the number of parking spaces are in the purview of the planning board. They're part of the development plan. And I think we would like something from the planning board saying that they have no difficulty utilizing the parking lot in this manner, if you know what I mean, Jay.
Yeah, we can do that.
When you say you can do that, do you think you would approve it, or do you have to talk to the folks?
I have to talk to the folks because there was a couple of questions that we needed answered, but I've got the answers now, but I gotta bring it back to them.
This is kind of off the cuff too. Does this affect, Shelley, this is probably more for you down there. Does it affect your snow plowing at all? Utilizing 893 parking spaces for the
No.
winter time? No, okay.
I don't know, Shelley, if I can't find a parking space round about Christmas time, I'm not gonna be a big camper.
We'll make sure you have a special one.
Okay, fair enough. Does anybody else have any other questions? Do we need more information before reaching a decision?
I just want to make a
I
comment.
need some of that stuff verified, yeah.
There's two people that have their hands raised. Well, yes, there's two people with their hands raised. Do you want to, I'm sorry to cut you off, Shelley. I just didn't know what order Lynn wanted to do this in.
Who is waiting in the
Karen and Andy Bezanson. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong.
okay, please promote them.
Okay, do you want them as panelists or just allowed to talk?
Bring them up as panelists. You can change it quickly enough.
Okay, so I am going to promote Karen first because she's been there the longest. All right. Did it work? Promote to panelist. There we go. So she should be joining us shortly. And she's muted, so as soon as she unmutes, we can hear her question.
Hi there.
Okay. Hi.
Is Andy also been promoted?
No, are you
Yeah,
together?
Andy should come along, and our
Well-
neighbors haven't arrived yet. We're the abutters.
While
Okay.
we're waiting, Karen, could you please give your name, spelling your last name, and your street address, please?
Brown like the color, 183 River Road West.
I'm sorry?
I
Brown
got it.
like the color, BROWN, 183 River Road West. Andy is on mute. He should come off mute. He's just 2 doors down, and also our neighbors are within range here too at 179.
I see his last name is there, and you know he's River Road, Leanne, correct? This is just for the record.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, he's unmuted. Andy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we're gonna let Karen speak first. She was first on board, so.
For both Shelley and Jason, it's got to be very clear, the operation, the days, Monday through Friday, the hours. Weekends, we have had abutters across the street who were sand and gravel, and they were not permitted to work over the weekend. Also, the hours of operations were clearly defined. The mall has never had an operation there at 7 o'clock in the morning. And as there are residents, homes all around River Road, that is not a time that is good for us. So the hours of operation we would like to discuss. The weekends are something that we're not interested in as well. There's also, from a perspective of the mall, there was an unfinished sound barrier between where the old linens and things is and where the Sears is, you'll see there's an open fence that needs to be replaced. We've had decibels put in our backyard before when we've had things along River Road to check sound. We're really concerned about the sound, especially Jason, when you talk about a compressor. How often is the compressor used? How loud is it? We would like to have a test with decibels again in our backyard. The noise barrier is key for us.
The compressor, just to speak on the compressor point, we wouldn't be utilizing the compressor on site. It would just be, it was an item that we might store there. It's not something that would be used in the vicinity.
Okay, and the various pieces of equipment, they will be used on site as well, digging things in and out of these containers, soil containers, and there'll be something reaching into the containers and pouring it into a truck. The loader?
The loader would be a fixed piece of equipment on site. You know, the equipment that would be going back and forth would be the delivery equipment, either dropping off the conduits or the triaxle trailer just bringing in the soils. And the loader would primarily be on site just to handle either the conduits or to manage the soil stockpiling within the bins on site.
Just for my clarification, are you saying that these buckets that you spoke of would have the soil in them and you would be delivering the buckets as opposed to having a truck and using a front end loader and emptying the truck?
No, the truck itself can self-empty, and the front end loader is just on site to handle and maintain the soil.
But when you remove the soil, don't you load it in a truck with a loader?
Correct. When the delivery comes in, the trucks can
empty.
Self-empty. The loader is there to maintain the stockpile, and then when the soil gets loaded out, the front end loader loads it into an empty truck.
Right.
Yeah.
What are the maximum number of pieces of equipment? I know you talked about a front end loader. What would be the maximum number of front end loaders that you would have there?
We would only have one.
The compressor you would just be storing there, and that would only be one or two or three, or?
We would probably have two, but we wouldn't. But again, we wouldn't be utilizing the compressor on site. I can't imagine a time when.
And what other type of heavy equipment would you store there?
Maybe the rubber tire excavators would be the only thing I could think of.
And how many of those would there be?
Maybe two. And this is, again, these would just be stage pieces of equipment. They wouldn't be, the only thing
They
that would
wouldn't be
be
used on the property, yeah.
Yeah, the only one that would be using the property would be the front end loader.
I think, Andy, did you want to have an opportunity?
I have a few
Oh,
more
I'm sorry.
questions. I haven't finished. We're very concerned about this nighttime schedule working from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. as you mentioned, even as a special. Again, you have to realize that you have a number of homes that abut up against the mall. And as I mentioned, the mall has not finished that fence, and there's an open area there. There has to be some type of a noise barrier and a visual barrier to all of this, because it is impeding the residents all up and down the road here. So I haven't even heard any answers to any of the questions that I brought up. I heard a lot of people talk about it, but no one has confirmed the hours of operations. And I've already stipulated that I'm not happy about it. My neighbors sitting here with me are not happy about it either. The night hours, overnight 24 hours is not acceptable. The decibel thing has to be put into place, and the fencing has to be completed, or some type of a noise barrier. So also when Shelley was speaking the first time, she brought up the fact that there were a total of 493 spaces, and this project was taking up 393 of those spaces, but then she said 225 were in Berlin, and then she contradicted herself and said all of the spaces are in Berlin. So I'm confused. Out of the 493 spaces, is it 393 totally in Berlin that is being used for this product, or 225? So I've got about 6 or 7 questions outstanding that I would like to have the answers to. I am a direct abutter, and it does affect our life here on River Road drastically.
I think you misunderstood. The total is 393 spaces. 225 are on the back between Linens and Things area and Regal Cinemas. The other 168 are on the rear Sears, upper Sears lot as you come in from Target off of Donna Lynch Boulevard. So 225 and 168 equal 393, all in Berlin.
Thank you for that clarification. There is on the map a little red triangle in the front of Sears. Is that where the employee parking lot is going to go, Jason, or what is that being used for?
That was primarily just some additional space we were looking to utilize, and that's, I know Shelley, you can speak to it too, just the way that the ownership parcels are for that site. But all of those locations, we were looking to utilize. That smaller location is probably going to be conduit laydown. That's probably what I can speak to at this point.
You have in the on the site, it says, talks about employee parking. Is the employee parking going into this fenced in area that's going to be locked, or is the employee parking somewhere else?
Our plan would probably be within, well, outside the lot if we could. I mean, it is a parking lot.
So that is additional spaces.
Well, we could also put them inside the lot. I mean, it's not a problem to us.
Again, I'm looking for traffic, and there's a lot of car lights. Again, as I mentioned, that fence has never been completed between and in the back of the mall. And so there's a lot of car lights that come and go. And, you know, I'm looking for some idea of how much traffic is going to be back there. And again, the noise and the view, and
it needs to be specific.
Yeah, we don't have enough specifics here.
Yeah, and how many dump trucks actually would you be bringing in every day to drop material?
I think we spoke to, we'd probably roughly have about, you know, four trucks probably making.
It's always roughly.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're self-dumping?
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Jason, with respect.
They're noisy too.
Jason, with respect, my name is Michael. I reside with my wife here, 183 River Road. With respect, every answer that you give is roughly or maybe. You never give a specific answer.
Well, it's the duration, like the trucks coming in and out, they'll be a bit subjective.
But you always say it's about 4 or roughly. I think we'd like to hear specifics, if you don't mind my saying.
Well, we wouldn't be having them run every day. It's hard to give specifics.
You see, also when you said that there might be exceptions, that you might need to do something special between, you know, out of the normal working hours between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. Well, if you're granted that permission, that means that you could conduct business all night long. So this is why I'd like specific answers, so that everyone can know exactly where they are.
Yeah, we just don't, there's no specific here. And as we said, we're already contesting the hours of operations that have been discussed here with the residents that reside behind, you know, directly live on the other side of the river. It might be great for the town to get taxed, and it might be great for everybody else, but for the residents, it's not good for us.
Aaron, if I may make a suggestion to you, as far as a noise barrier, do you know if that was on the original development plan?
It was with New England Development. They never finished it. Then it went to Simon, and we fought it for years with Simon. It's kind of, you know, everybody says, not my problem now. And it's been a really big problem.
Well, if you wanted to verify that with the planning board, because they created the original development plan, that there was in fact supposed to be a sound barrier there, we could make it as a contingency for the permit.
Yes, there is.
But that information would need to come from the planning board.
Okay, so Jay is, he's still on the call, if he can look into that. But yes, you can see that there is a fence that has been put up I don't believe that, I know that maybe once in the years the mall was there that Simon improved it, but they never completed it.
Well, I suggest that maybe at the next planning board meeting, you might want to ask them. And if it was a condition or if it was part of the original development plan.
It was part of the mitigation money. Mitigation
sorry.
plan. It was part of the mitigation plan between New England Development and the town. They were. had
No,
some mitigation.
development plan, which is like a site plan, only it was for the overlay district. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to ask?
I'd like
share?
to find out when we'll get some answers to the questions we posed, because it's crucial for us.
Did Andy have his day in court here? Or does he wish to?
No, I'd love to mention a couple things. I think it would be great, I guess, you know, to share with Karen's concerns, particularly night operations of loaders and beeper backup alarms and dump trucks and headlights and things like that. We can see and hear all of that. So not to be unreasonable, but if the plan had some, you know, I'm not sure, you know, Jason, maybe you could even recommend what you'd put in the plan to make sure that that was limited or restricted or not allowed or something. But we just wouldn't want open-ended, you know, all night long operations and all the associated noises and things I just mentioned. That would be really all I have to add.
Jason, what exactly do you have to do at night?
Just some of the excavation work. When I say night work, again, it was, you know, very limited locations within our project where some of the excavation work, it's suggested to us to do at night just to limit the impact in those locations to the community. There's really only probably a couple locations.
So you could also not do it and not impact this community.
That's true. No, I 100% heard. Yep. So it would be something we could certainly look to plan through.
Or restrict.
Or we could take it, or restrict, or we could take it back and try to find another location that potentially could utilize or support our night activities.
Yeah, we had a gravel operation. We had to do exactly that because the noise was untenable, and they had to curtail their operation every day by 4 o'clock and not use the weekends and no noise. So, you know, we'll come back and do the same thing. It's very, very challenging on this neighborhood.
I have a question for Madam Chair. If the operation is between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. and the decibel level is under 55 decibels measured at the edge of the property, can we restrict it further because that would comply with our zoning bylaws?
Of course we can. I don't know that we would, given that level. I mean, 55 decibels is not terribly loud.
No, it isn't. And living on a busy road, I can tell you, things get loud.
Well, unfortunately, the way the land is here between the mall and our property with a river in between, all the noise carries directly over, which is why the walls and fences were set
that
up.
works. The place where I live, I can hear people talking 1,000 feet away, and it's just the acoustics. And I know over the summer we had the same issue with 19 Carter. However, what I'm saying is that would it be considered discriminatory to hold someone to a stricter standard than what we have in the zoning bylaws currently, considering that those zoning bylaws are pretty strict as they are, with 55 decibels at the property line.
All it takes is a vote of the membership.
Okay.
I'm not saying if it were repealed, it would hold up, but I'm saying, you know, we can do that and then see.
Okay, well, that was my question. Can we do that?
Does anyone have anything else they'd like to ask, interject, whatever?
The only question I have is there's more people in the audience. If there's anybody else here that would like to talk to this, go ahead and raise your hand. It'd be great to get your perspective as well.
I have one very quick question. Jason, you mentioned there would be employees at this site. How many employees will be there?
We'd have a minimum of, you know, we'd probably be two. It'd be one operating the front end loader and then another yard manager, for lack of a better term.
It's only two?
It'd be two people that would be, you know, on site to maintain staging equipment.
So they wouldn't park there and then go to the work site. They would be parking at the work site. Is that what you're saying, Jason?
They more than likely would, yes.
I think I learned a lot about the mall. I don't know about anybody else. What's the feeling of the membership? Do they think they need more information? Do they want input from the planning board before they reach a decision? How do you feel, folks?
All of the above.
Yes.
Yeah, all of the above. And in particular, the River Road West residents, I think, are a very big concern here. How it will impact them or not.
Jay, could I ask you a question if you're still in the audience, which I think I see you?
You might be asleep. Oh, there he is.
You have to watch
Hi,
out when
Jay.
I'm not moving. If you see if
I know
Pictures
I'm not
can't
gonna
move.
ask you to answer questions off the cuff. But when your group reviews this and is gonna come back to us with a recommendation, could I trouble you to investigate whether or not the original development plan had a noise barrier that has in fact never been built?
right, I have already noted that we are going to do that.
I just have to clarify this again. There was,
You're not being heard. No, you will now.
yeah, that I don't know if it was on the development plan. I do know that New England Development gave the town money to put up a fence that was supposed to help with noise and also block the car lights from coming in the backyard. That fence was put up, I think the money was given to Mike Malloy because he had a landscape company and he put up a fence, but he did not have enough money or something. I don't know. You have to ask him how it worked with New England Development giving him money to finish the fence. So there is an open area right where this is going between where the fence stops and where the fence starts around a curve. That fence should have been finished. It was not. Any of you on the zoning board can drive behind the mall and see exactly what I'm talking about. It's been going on for years. We originally chatted and spoke about it early on when the mall went in and everybody put their hands up. Nobody wanted to do this. It was like the mall was in and, you know, specific things were said to us on River Road about, you know, tough luck kind of deal. But that fence has never been completed. Please drive it yourself. Projects like these going in, the car lights, you know, as Andy and the Kirbys will tell you, and the beepers and the noise and the car alarms, fence has to be completed.
Maybe you could join one of our meetings and we can discuss it. I think we've got some members who are on the planning board or at least nearby during the mall development.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jay. That would be very helpful.
And then just for clarification, since I'm not from the area and I need to present all this information to ownership who is in LA. So when I leave the mall and I take a right onto River Road at the stoplight off of Donald Lynch, where am I headed to hit the neighborhood of where you are?
We
You
are,
go.
we are to the north of the mall, so you come right around, almost 360 degrees.
So I would go at the new Rotary, past that new Rockwell.
You go right up and around it.
We're
Okay,
literally
and
in your
then
backyard, right behind.
And then
Septic.
it's the first, so after the Rotary, I pass the Rockwell community, and then it's that first right.
That's right.
You're gonna go
Connects
through.
to Hudson, right? Connects to Hudson, the
Yeah, that's
Highland
correct.
Common.
You go through two rotaries. One rotary is at
Okay, yep.
Rockwell. The second rotary is the rotary you take. You make a right again. That's River Road extends from the right off Donald Lynch to the right off the second rotary.
Okay, so I don't go straight to the post office, I turn.
Correct.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you'll see that there are a number of homes that are directly abutting the mall.
Behind, okay,
Yeah, we're slightly northeast of you, to be specific.
okay.
When you get to that second rotary, you'll see a sign for Gillis Landscaping. If you just follow that sign, that'll take you right down River Road.
Is that 62?
No.
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 No, okay. See, I'm sorry, I live in Ocam with cows and chickens.
Yeah, that's how it was here.
Lucky girl.
Can you
We'd like that.
give us an address?
You're just really going around the block. You can also take a left
Okay.
off Donald Lynch Boulevard and the road immediately after Target. You can go left again, and that will drop you right into River Road as well.
What's that road called? What's that one?
Is
Uh,
it Bridge?
Bigelow.
Bigelow.
Is it
Oh, Bigelow.
so it's Bigelow North or something, going that
You
way.
can go Donald Lynch left and take
Yep.
Bigelow to come behind the mall, or you can go Donald Lynch right and take the right off the second rotary to get on River Road.
Okay, we're gonna go on a field trip.
If you just plug into your satellite navigation system, 183 River Road West, it should bring you right to our doorway.
Yeah.
They will have coffee.
Right. And please also look at the fence behind you.
Okay.
But I would really appreciate answers to these questions because it is important to our neighborhood.
All right, to follow up with Keith's request, no one else has raised their hand in the audience.
Okay, so it appears, unless there's something else from any of the members.
If I could interject, Linda.
Sure.
If we would just remove the utilization of this site at night and just limit it to the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Does that alleviate majority of?
7 a.m. is still a bit early.
7 p.m. is, we're used to the mall hours. And, there's a little bit of hours going on with movies, but, the constant thing in our backyard is really disruptive to our life.
Okay, well, if it was 7 a.m. to, or what, I'm sorry. If the time limitation was 6 p.m. or I'm just looking to see what works with the abutters and.
Karen, is there a time that would work?
The best.
9 to 5 would be practically acceptable.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're at a bit of a crossroads. I'm sensing we need more information. What's the rest of the board feel?
Yes.
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 Okay. Are there any questions in your mind, either from Shelley or from Jason, as to what we're looking for?
I think we know what we need. Again, if we get information for next time, and also maybe with the additional information, maybe Jason, you can work out some details with the neighbors that'll alleviate some of the problems.
I mean, I was gonna suggest if possible, you know, an 8 AM to 5 PM, just to meet halfway with the time frame.
Better.
Yeah, that sounds much
And-
better.
Okay, and then as far as, you know, additional information, you know, just so I'm clear on what the zoning board would be looking for.
Well, the hours were a major one. Again,
Yeah.
I still want the traffic routes in writing.
Okay,
Specific hours have to be in writing.
Days of the week were Monday through Friday.
Days
that's
of the
what
week
we-
have to be in writing.
okay.
You have to probably get your fence worked out. That has to be in writing.
When you say, so when you say your fence, you're referring to?
Well, you're having an area or fence around your equipment, which is also needed just for the site plan information.
It's, yeah.
Usually that
it was
you have
it was
national,
inclu-
whatever. Your national encasing in the area,
Yep.
just so it's in there for our knowledge. And again, you may want to work out some kind of fencing with the neighbors.
Well, the fencing, so I'll address the couple, the fencing within the parameters of the
The
site plan.
parameters. Mhm.
Yep, so that was, we had that included in the site plan, right? And I
It's on
gave
the
an
site
example.
plan? Okay.
Yep, I gave that in the site plan. I also gave an example of what that would look like, just for a visual.
No, I don't think she's talking about the chain link, Jason. I think she's talking about the neighbor's concern.
That as
for the-
well.
For
Yeah, so
the,
I think there were,
Oh.
there were two items, right? It was the perimeter fencing around that we had been looking to lease. And then the other item that the abutter had brought up,
And again, in our normal site plans, we do have, if you're having lighting in there, and it sounds like we want to say that there is no lighting in there
There is.
that you'll be using.
yeah, we had, what we had included in the site plan was, if any lighting would be needed, that they'd be running from a light plan. And again, those utilizations would just be like in the winter time, if it was early enough, you know, with the
We'd need them.
the seasonal darkness, if it was an 8 to 5, you know, it gets dark around 4 o'clock. or
Again, we
so.
need those.
You need
we
what?
need on the site plan, any signage.
Yep.
Any lighting. Openings of the gates where they're gonna be located. We have a list of the materials.
Okay.
That you're gonna store. But after, a site plan is issued. Nothing can be added in the way of signage or lighting or whatever.
Okay, you'd be looking for the just so I'm clear, you're looking for the locations of where those potential light plants would be on the plan?
Yep.
Are you gonna have a sign there that has your name on it?
We'd have the company, more than likely.
That needs to be shown on the plan.
Okay.
Are
I mean,
you gonna have any exterior lighting that you will be using at any time?
And if we did, you need to have that location on the plan.
It needs to be on the plan.
Yep.
And some idea as to how bright it is
Right.
And when
because-
you're using it.
and
Yeah.
how tall it is, because that would affect the neighbors. You know, if it's down low, if it's at the height of a 4-foot or 5-foot or whatever fence, it may not have as much impact on the neighbors as if it's on a telephone pole 45 feet in the air.
Okay, understood.
Okay,
I have a question.
Okay.
Earlier we discussed the possibility of contaminated soil, whatever contamination. What? I need help with this. What would be the best? I mean, it has to be, anything contaminated has to be contained or removed or whatever. Do we need any wording in there to protect us in the event? And who oversees this material in the event, or who tests it?
I
Is that
think
earth
first-
removal?
First
Why
of all-
wouldn't we just say that no contaminated material is allowed to be brought into the site?
Yeah, that's.
And
Well, of course,
who's gonna
Yeah.
test it and who's gonna say it's not contaminated? I think we need also to know that the confines in which the soil will be held will be non-pervious. You know, there's gonna be absolutely no runoff. That
Right.
it's some kind of a hard plastic or rubber exterior that will not allow whatever soil. You know, that's the best. And then we can say that the soil is, you know, basically, this is a depot where it's dropped and moved away. You know, it's not meant to stay there, nor
Yeah.
is it meant to be stored in Berlin.
Mhm.
So let me address a few of those items. Is that one, the soil has been tested by our owner. It's a hygienist that.
I'm sure you have to test it in order to be able to put it someplace.
Correct.
Okay, if it's not
Correct.
going back where it came from.
Correct.
All I'm saying is while it's being held in the container,
Mhm.
which we can restrict and say no soil can be left there, it can only be a, you know, transient situation.
Mhm.
But we need to know that the container is impervious and that if in fact there were soil that had a problem, because it could be, if you're gonna put it back where it came from, they're not gonna probably test it. That it would not damage or run off onto the conservation land.
Right, and that we addressed that in our site plan, is that the perimeter would have those erosion, we call them erosion and sediment controls. Those were identified around the perimeter of those two locations.
And of what are they made?
They're typically, we call them, it's either like a sediment, or a core log or a sediment control log. It's either a synthetic material or a compost material. We've used ones in the past that were made of coconut. So there are various materials that you can utilize for those type of applications.
I think I personally am more interested in the structure of the containers that are going to be holding it.
Okay. Yeah, they're just, you visualize just a concrete bin. They're the Jersey barriers you would see on.
Well, concrete is very porous.
Well, they're bins.
It's a bin, yeah.
So they're going to be porous because they're like huge bricks.
Yeah.
They're just made of concrete. And you stack them.
Okay.
That's correct. Yep.
So it sounds like the way you provided an image of the fencing, it would be good to provide an image of these bins.
Sure.
Mhm.
Okay, then I think we'll be looking for some input, and I encourage any of the neighbors, they may want to join in with the planning board as they investigate, as Jay has been so kind to investigate for us. We're going to get something back from the Conservation Commission. And then we need to have an updated plan that has lighting and signage and all of that. I think, Jason, I have sent you a couple of emails pointing you to the requirements for site plan. Trust me, they're much higher standard than what we may hold you to if you're willing to accept like a 3-year lease.
Yes.
And, you know, restoration of the property.
Mhm.
But if you read through the bylaw, you need to put everything on there.
Okay.
I mean, you would be very surprised.
And
I don't know.
also, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Lynn. Just if we can have the information about a week ahead of time on a hard copy. Okay?
Mhm.
Just so I
And
can get it.
ultimately, if the board is to approve this, you need to provide us with something larger than us running off the print that you gave us. We need to put the names on and the dates, and we need to list an expiration date.
So when you say something larger, you're talking about the plan size, like the paper size?
Yes, that is the site plan that we will be approving. There will be verbiage to go along with it, but that's the site
Okay.
plan.
So if I
And we-
gave you an updated site plan that includes the items we talked about today, I leave a thicker white border within the plan. That's
Maybe in an 11 by 14 format or something like that, that we would.
Yep.
I mean, this is, very, very small, okay?
Yeah, you just need a larger border of, a larger area of white that you guys could sign and mark.
It wouldn't hurt to have it magnified also, so it's a little easier to see.
Okay.
I mean, normally we ask for, septic system, and I mean, there's a whole litany, if you look at the bylaw of what needs to go into a site plan, but I think if you guys are going for, a temporary permit, that the board may be willing, and we haven't taken any kind of a vote or done any kind of a consensus, but may be willing to overlook some of the things. But lighting and signage are important. What you're storing there is important. The nature of the chain link fence, is it something that can be scaled very readily by young folks that may be visiting the mall? Those are the kinds of things. And of course, the neighbors' concerns, for noise. So I'm hearing you say maybe 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. for trucking stuff in and out. And that your total area we know it's going to take up 393 spaces, but it's going to take up 1.75 acres. Did I misunderstand that?
What do we have actually? I might have misspoken on that one. I mean, I think the spaces are really I'd say would be the square footage metric to use.
Okay. Do you know what the square footage is?
I don't offhand. I mean, that's something
Because in
addition
to the parking spaces, you also have maneuverability areas. So maybe when you come back, you could tell us what the total square footage is.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I can include that in the plan.
If it is it your request that we continue the hearing until next month?
It is.
You'll need to meet with Leanne and sign a continuation form.
Okay.
That it's not unilateral on our part, but that you agree you want to continue the hearing. If that's the case, and if everyone feels as though they've put their John Hancock into it and have the questions that they think they need answered, I would entertain a motion to continue the hearing until, how about 7:30? Does that seem reasonable? Yes, we have a hearing for West Street, a continuation of their side lot variance. That would allow half an hour for them. If for some reason we run over, we can always start the hearing past the timely list, but we can't start it before. So does everybody think that maybe 7:30 would be reasonable? Anticipated start time?
Do we have that other one from up on Autumn Ridge for next month too?
You don't know the whole gamut of what's coming up.
We have the BMS sign too.
Oh, yeah.
And the marijuana place. But anyway, who's counting, all right?
Do we have time set for any of Autumn Ridge or the school?
The permits just came in this week, yesterday, and in one case, we didn't have it. They were gonna file it tonight with the town clerk. We don't even have the permit as yet. But let's talk after the hearing is closed about what the future may hold.
Okay.
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 So 7:30
provide-
sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
7:30 is good.
Okay. And you understand, Jason and, Shelley, that we're going to try to meet the 7:30 time, but if for some reason we run over, it may be 7:45 before we get there. I don't know. It depends on how the other hearing goes. Okay.
That was 7:30 PM. That was May
11.
11th. Okay.
Would someone care to make a motion at the request of the petitioner that we continue the hearing until May 11th at 7:30 PM?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, did you get that, Leanne?
I did.
She knows our voices now. Okay, I'm gonna take a roll call vote. Jim,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Keith,
Aye.
Ginny,
Aye.
Susanna,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, so you'll drop in, hopefully, if you're in the area, I assume. There is someone in the building inspector's office. Leanne is there, usually, not this coming Monday, but usually Monday and Wednesday, from 8 till 1, correct, Leanne?
Correct.
Leanne, is there a better time that works for you? I know that this Monday is a holiday.
Yeah, Monday's a holiday, so I'll only be in on Wednesday, but anytime between 8 and 1 is fine.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. I'll entertain them. We need to take a roll call vote on that, or we're all set on that, okay?
We're all set.
Let's vote. So the hearing is continued, so now we're in open session, and everybody is welcome to stay and hear all our goings on if they choose. Okay, first of all, one of the things I wanted to be sure to do, Susanna, was to thank you for making the application the way you did, because I think it's greatly enhanced our ability to read the petitions as they come in. So
You're
thank you for
welcome.
that. Thank you for that. I wanted to ask you folks about the July meeting. Think about it while we go through the other items on the agenda. That we make it the second Wednesday, which we usually avoid. We usually end up making it the third. But I would suggest that as of July 15th, we will be unable to do it remotely. And I think if there's any month you'd like to do it remotely, it'll probably be in July. So we can think about that. How about approving minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes of March 9th, I believe they are.
Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, that's as submitted. I'll take a roll call vote. Jim,
I'm abstaining. I was absent for that meeting.
thank you. Dennis,
Aye.
Keith,
Aye.
Jenny,
Aye.
and Pat. You were without electricity,
Yeah,
right?
no electrical.
Okay. So you're abstaining, and Susanna.
I was not in attendance.
Okay, so there's just myself, Jim, Dennis, and Ginny, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We have minutes. We don't have any warrants or anything to discuss, do we, Dennis?
Nothing.
Did the FinCom ever ask you about our budget?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Oh, geez.
I'm just wondering what they're putting in for us. Communications, let's save the best for last. And your availability for the next meeting. Anybody not going to be able to attend the next meeting?
Let me look.
Okay. Let's loop back to July. We don't have to decide it firmly tonight, but does it sound good to have it be the second Wednesday rather than moving it out to the third so that it can be a Zoom meeting, or does it matter?
Second Wednesday is the 13th, so I don't have any issues with that, but
I don't care.
Is there a reason we're supposed to care, Lynn?
Well, normally we make it because there's so many people that are on vacation, one of
Oh,
the
okay.
first 2 weeks in July, we make it the third week.
Oh,
But
okay,
this
whatever
is-
everybody wants, that's fine.
Well, this will be on the 13th.
Well, Lynn, just to make you aware though, too, since we're Zooming, it's we have a standing slot for the second Wednesday. The third Wednesday, Conservation Commission has the Zoom channel, so we would have to meet in person if you moved it out to the third Wednesday.
I thought the Conservation Committee is meeting in person now.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Well, but they have the option of using Zoom, so that's their slot. So if they choose to do Zoom, it's their slot.
I'm taking that the group as a whole would prefer probably to meet on the 13th of July. We'll mention it again, but just for scheduling for Leanne. We have some upcoming, and they're probably gonna want it scheduled for next month, so I'm gonna make a suggestion in a minute, but there's a variance for an LED sign that's over in size, plus it's lighted at the elementary school. The the exact location and stuff, I think there's some question about. They did picture it, but I'm not sure where they pictured it is where they're planning to put it. We also have 32 or 34 Autumn Ridge that is coming in for an in-law apartment. Interesting enough, I was pretty confused, thank goodness for Leanne, because when the house numbers were given on Autumn Ridge, 34 was a residence, and then they had an in-law apartment, and the fire department wants it called 32. There was in the existing house, an in-law apartment, but not for the people.
Lynn, if you don't mind me interrupting, and Richard Hanks, the building commissioner, is also still on the call. It looks like 2 houses and they're connected by a breezeway. So 34 Autumn Ridge is the primary location, is the primary home, and 32 is the in-law apartment. And they wanted to finish the basement of 32, which is the in-law apartment, but it's already at the 35% allowed space. And they also, because it's an in-law apartment, the 5 years is up and they need to apply for a special permit for that apartment.
Wasn't that was Mark Rhodes' house, right? Or
Yes,
Well, he built them, but it wasn't his house.
right, it's one he
No,
built.
he lived there.
I thought, yeah, he lived there for a little while. Yeah.
Did.
Anyways,
if it's the same house I'm thinking of.
it's the big one. It just keeps going and going. Well, I guess
Yeah.
they all do up there.
Well, the breezeway is, it's got a
Right.
roof on it, and then 32 is attached to it.
Yeah.
Right.
In-law.
So 32
there's
has its
also a-
own address and it looks like a house from the outside, but that's the in-law apartment.
Which is also part of the bylaw because they say it's supposed to have the appearance of a single family residence.
I guess
But-
it is the breezeway connecting it. It just looks like one really big long house.
Oh, does it? Good. Okay. And then the third thing is marijuana. I don't know if this is retail or is it wholesale? Do you know, Lee?
I believe it's growing, growing and manufacturing. Here, I'm gonna promote Richard, the building commissioner as panelists, because he can answer
Oh,
these.
he'll
questions.
love you for that.
I know he will.
I'll be impressed if he's still awake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
good.
fighting it.
Okay, Rich, I promoted you, but you don't have your camera on and you're muted. Oh, there we go.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
There
He's
he
still
is.
awake.
You on a beach?
Yes. No, it's just a backdrop. So what you're gonna have coming before you on the marijuana is, they submitted to me a conceptual plot plan, site plan showing the building location and parking. So they have a tight location because of ledge and wetlands, and the bylaws say you're not supposed to have any parking spaces between the front of the building and the street line. So their parking is proposed within that zone. And then there's another dispute as to what the setback is for a parking area, which it's not really clear in the bylaws to me, nor was it to Tim Wheeler, whether the setback is the 100 feet as it is for the building, or when you get into the bylaw, I think it's 831 or 832, that it talks about screening to budding properties, which is 25 feet. So it's kind of convoluted a little bit as to which one dominates under the bylaw. So I suggested them that they apply for variance for the parking in the front within the front lot line of the building, and also for the board to look at what that setback is to the property lines for parking, whether it is 100 feet or the 25. So I suggested they apply for variance for that as well, just in case it is the 100 feet. They are going to be a growing and manufacturing facility. They are not going to be a retail sale. So the first prong that you're going to have, again, is those two variance requests so that they can finish up their site plan, and then they'll be coming before you for the actual special permit for the facility.
But Richard, how can we give them a variance if we don't have a site plan?
Well, you will have a site plan, and then if you agree to their site plan, then that's what they're going to go with. If you disagree with their site plan, you don't want to give them the variances, then they're going to have to try and refigure something out. What they're going to come to you with first is what they would really like to do in order to fit what they're trying to do. And again, what I saw on their plan is that based on topography and some wetlands behind it and everything else, that I think they'd struggle to try and get all their parking behind the facility. That's what they're going to be coming for, is the variance to see if you're going to allow the parking in the front, and also again what the setback is to property lines for the actual parking lot, whether it's 100 feet or 25 feet.
What's the address of this again?
That's it's up on Bigelow Road. You actually get to it through Hudson, and it's was that Entwistle, the King property?
So yeah, it's off of River Road.
Yep, correct. So they're going to be the only ones out there. That it's not like there's anybody else around them. They do own a lot of land, but it is hilly. So that's what you're gonna have to wrestle with, is those two items.
I'm just concerned that, how do you really give them a variance for parking in the front when you're not doing site plans, so you really don't know the square footage and stuff? that, in other words, the number of parking spaces that are required, you know,
So-
based on the size of the building and so forth and its use. You usually have to have a minimum number of parking spaces.
Which they do on their conceptual plan. They have the size of the building, which I think is 80,000 square feet. So then they took the formula from the bylaw as to how many parking spaces they need based on
Okay.
manufacturing and how much is warehousing. And that's how they came up with a boatload of parking spaces. And in order to fit it in, they've got some off to the side, but they do have some that they are proposing within the front setback area.
And hopefully they'll go to conservation and Board of Health, et cetera, before they come to us.
Right, but again, they what they want to start with first is whether or not the board is going to be receptive to variances on those two items.
Well,
And-
part of the ability to give the variance is going to depend upon the delineation of the wetland.
Right. I think they're working on all that, or they've already established that. I'm pretty sure they've established that because they want to be moving forward with drawings and plans if they haven't.
Okay,
So-
because like we were talking to one of the folks earlier tonight, I mean, we're constrained at giving a variance, okay?
Yep.
And in order to give a variance, there basically has to be nowhere else they can put the parking.
Mhm. Yep,
So,
agreed. That's
All right.
gonna be that's gonna be their sell to you, not my sell to you.
well, no, it's just, you know, to meet the law.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing with us. Does anyone have any questions?
And Rich, Lynn, if you don't mind me interrupting, did I accurately describe 34 Autumn Ridge? Do you have
You
anything
did.
to add? Okay.
Yeah, yes, you did. It's like Leanne said, the primary residence is 34, connected by a large breezeway to the in-law, which is number 32. And when the house was built, it was initially built with the in-law, but at the time when it was built, your bylaw did not require a special permit. So fast forward, the new owners that are there now, they weren't aware that starting in 2017, that's when the bylaw, from what I can tell, kicked in and started requiring that anybody that had a pre-existing one had 5 years to bring it into compliance. So their building permit to try and finish more space in the in-laws, is how we found out that they didn't even have a special permit, which again, they're legal right now. It's not going to expire until May. So that's why they're moving forward to get their special permit for the in-law. And I think they're going to try to seek relief, to see if you'll grant them the ability to add additional space in the basement, because that's what the building permit was for, was to try and create some finished space in the basement.
Well, you guys are gonna have to educate me on that, why that's not grandfathered. The new bylaw changed specifically because it expires in 5 years, is that why?
The bylaw language stated something to the effect that any pre-existing ones had 5 years to come into compliance and get special permits.
Okay, I'll look that up, I'll read it more.
Yeah.
Could I just ask who's online with us?
We have Karen and
Louise.
Louise.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Louise from Conservation is still online, and Karen, the abutter on River Road West, is still on the meeting.
Are we still in a meeting or are we?
We are, we have not adjourned.
Okay, well, if no one has any other questions and if everybody is still awake enough to vote, would you like to adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, who gets to pick yes?
I'll
I
make a
will.
motion that we adjourn.
Okay, Jim. And Ginny will take you as a second.
Okay,
I'm gonna do roll call. Jim,
Aye.
Denny,
Aye.
Keith,
Aye.
Ginny,
aye.
Susanna,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Okay, I declare the meeting adjourned.